I'm Reverend Tress Phillips, and oh my goodness, what a precious gift having each one here attend and those online attend. Thank you for being with us. I'm Reverend Tress Phillips, Center for Spiritual Living, Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. Now, if you look at when you came in the doorway, you will see a green box. That box came from the Christmas Bureau, and they are open and receptive to receiving gifts for children, but I think it goes bigger than children, families. So, but anyway, they came, they delivered, and I have the letter. They will be picking up the box December 13th. Anything you want to contribute, please do so. Now, for our children, and I know there are children listening, we have a growing spirit circle word, and it is consideration. Consideration is thoughtfulness, thinking of how your words, actions might affect other people, and caring about how they feel. It means giving the same importance to others' likes and dislikes as you do to your own. Consideration is giving thought to the needs of others. So the affirmation is, I give tender attention to others and myself. So if you like, you may repeat with me, I give tender attention to others and myself. And if you look in your purple sheet, you will see the opening affirmation. If you would like to repeat with me, joyously I enter the good of this day. I celebrate and rejoice, knowing that God is good, life is good, and I am good. I move and act and speak from a state of grace and loving kindness towards all, and so it is. Now, I have the joy of introducing not one, but two people. I'm going to introduce Ruth Weisenberger, who is a very talented musical lady, and she will be playing music, a song, Satisfied Mind. And after Ruth entertains us, we are going to have Reverend Judy, and she is going to talk about celebrating infinite possibility. And I also want to remind you, we do have our Science of Mind magazine. I just love this magazine, and it's for sale. It's right outside the door there, and they are $5 each. Okay, now Ruth.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Tress. As Reverend Tress said, this is a song called Satisfied Mind. It was written back in 1948, and the artist who first put it out was a country and western singer who I just love, Porter Wagner. How many times have you heard someone say, if I had his money, I would do things my way? But little they know that it's so hard to find one rich man in 10 with a satisfied mind. I had all that I needed to get a start in life's game. Then suddenly it happened. I lost every dime, but I'm richer by far with a satisfied mind. 'Cause money can't buy back your youth when you're old, or a friend when you're lonely, or a love that's grown cold. The wealthiest person is a pauper at times, compared to the man with a satisfied mind. When my life has ended and my time has run out, my friends and my loved ones I'll leave, there's no doubt. But one thing's for certain, when it comes my time, I'll leave this old world with a satisfied mind. I'll leave this old world with a satisfied mind. Thank you.
And good morning from me. I'm Reverend Judy Andersen, and it's my privilege to take center stage today, but I'm going to share it. Gord, will you come forward? And Lou, come forward, please. These two have put in 4-5 years of study. And what they did a lot of that study for was to become science of mind practitioners. And to be a science of mind practitioner means that you learn to look at the perfection within a person rather than seeing something that needs to be fixed. Look within, reveal the perfection that is already there. It takes a lot of study and a lot of practice to get there. And while these two have put in all of that time already, even though they've finished their coursework, we're continuing to meet every 2 weeks to practice, so that they can be the best possible practitioners by the time they're able to write their exam next spring. So I would like to present you each with a white rose, representing the purity of your intentions in this study. Now, where is that mic, Reverend Tress? Oh, so it is. Now, I want to hear from both of these marvelous practitioners. They are now practitioner interns, we'll call them, and they're open for business. If you feel the need for somebody to know your good, to know your wholeness, please feel free to get in touch with either of them, and you will be amazed at the results. And above that, Lou is going to tell us something that happened to her just in the last couple of days. So, Lou?
Good morning. So, being a practitioner, we assume and believe that what we do is working. I had proof of that this weekend. I was working with a young lady from my office who's going through a bit of a struggle and a hard time right now. And yesterday morning, I sent her just a little encouragement message from Facebook, just to let her know I was thinking about her. So she writes me back and she says, "So, what were you doing last night between 9 and 10 o'clock while I was trying to go to sleep?" So I wrote her back and I said, "I was doing treatment for you and your family." She said, "That's why you came to visit as I was drifting off to sleep." And I thought, holy cow, this really works. It was just that little extra encouragement that I needed to know for sure that it absolutely works. And she said she just peacefully dropped off to sleep and had one of the best sleeps she's had in a long time. And so it is.
And so it is. And just before we hear from Gord, I'll do an opening treatment. Let's breathe in the joy of this day and know that everything that unfolds this morning here at the Center for Spiritual Living is inspirational, comforting, awakening, giving greater life, greater joy, greater peace. I know that these words have power, and as they are spoken, so it is. And now Gordon is going to share something about his journey. It's on.
And what a wonderful journey it has been. When I first started, I remember there was a sign over to the side, said, change your thinking, change your life. That's pretty easy for me because I have a south exposing third floor balcony. So every morning I look out and I see a beautiful sunrise. But some of the truthful, wonderful parts of this journey has been thanks to the Center for Spiritual Living and all the people that I get to encounter because of the center. I have been part of classes, bingo, and part of the board. And through those things, I have met so many wonderful people. Thanks to bingo, I know Joyce will always give me a hand. And I know Diane will always provide me with a wonderful argument. Thank you so much, ladies. And, you know, the classes, the wonderful instructors that I get, but the people I get to share with as we grow and become enlightened individuals. What a blessing. And I know those blessings have really, I know Reverend Judy says it's a couple of years, but it only feels like a couple of minutes. I love the classes that we take. I love my classmates. I am so grateful for the center. I would highly recommend to anybody, if you would like a richer, more rewarding life, partake in anything you're available, whether it's volunteering for the board, the bingos, casinos, or taking a class. Please enjoy. And thank you so much for allowing me the pleasure of being a board member, a bingo volunteer, and a proud member of the Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you. And so it is.
Well, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Gord. Thank you for what you have done to help my life, because we started this program back just, I guess, before I was diagnosed with cancer. My long period of treatment from June until the middle of January took a big hunk of time out of our program. It's why we're finishing a little different date than we would have planned, but it's all been so good. And they have been so instrumental in my own well-being, because we meet on Thursday afternoons and we talk about the principles and we practice. One of them is a practitioner, the other is a client, and we take turns. And sometimes I make myself the client and expect them to treat for me. So through all of this time we've been working together, the three of us, wonderful things have been happening. And one of the wonderful things that has been happening is Gordon, may I talk about you a little bit? One of the things that has been happening is that Gord has decided that it's time he grew out of the condition that is called MS. He says he's ready to get up on his feet, and if not dance, at least walk and run. Because, yes, there are cures either in the making or are already happening. And Gord, I don't know if you saw it, but I saw a post on Facebook a few days ago that is so relevant. So the two people with MS working in I forget what the organization was, but they worked together. And one of them was a woman, and she had to wear braces on her legs in order to be able to walk. And she couldn't feel her legs and her feet at all. And she was not feeling too chipper about it all. And then one morning, she came into the workshop, and one of the other person we're talking about said, "You look different today." And she said, "You know what? I feel different today. I can feel my feet. I can feel my feet." And her condition totally disappeared. Took a little time to get the muscle tone back, that kind of thing, but she went into, I'll call it a spontaneous remission or fix, a cure. So it is not impossible, and I support Gord and his determination that he is going to be walking again, whether it is through his own belief, whether it is through some medical breakthrough, but I support Gord in knowing that yes, he can be on his feet again. And as he has talked about sometimes in the past, he figured he needed the condition to give him the benefit of being able to live without going out and working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, because he needed time to find Center for Spiritual Living and our principles. And now that he has found those and found his beliefs, now he's ready to get on with his life again. Am I right, Gord? Yes. Exactly. So that is cause for celebration. And the topic for today really is celebrating infinite possibility. And I'm sure that any one of us here have things we've kind of yearned for or longed for, but thought were always out of reach for us, even though others could get there and attain those things, those relationships, that wealth, that security, that happiness, most of all. So we have to consider celebrating not what it will be like when and if we ever get that desired object or person or thing, but celebrating who we are now. And it begins with a satisfied mind. Right, Ruth? And thank you for your song. That was wonderful. When Ruth comes and shares not just her music, but herself with us through her music, that is something to celebrate. The word of the day is celebrate. And infinite possibility? Yes. So, do you believe in something you call a higher power or God? If your answer is yes, then how can you not believe in infinite possibility, infinite potential? It's either one or the other. If we truly believe, then yes, there is infinite possibility, no matter what the time of our life or the condition someone has labeled us with. Infinite possibility. So when you choose to celebrate that, can you make today a day of celebration, knowing that you are so much more than your body and an age and an occupation, a title? There is so much more. The reality of you is not only believing in something you might call God, but encompassing it in your own being, that it is your own being coming out to play as you. So are you giving God a good time, to use the title of a book written by, can't remember who wrote that one, but it was a super book, Giving God a Good Time, by letting God live and dance and move through us. Is that something to celebrate? Is there infinite possibility in that idea? So I've got a couple wonderful quotations here. There's one out of Psalms, chapter 20, verses 4 and 5. May he grant you your heart's desire and fulfill all your plans. May we shout for joy over your victory. And in the name of our God, set up our banners. May the Lord fulfill all your petitions. And God, we will shout for joy over your victory. We celebrate infinite possibility. Might happen today, might happen tomorrow. It'll happen in divine right ways at the divine right time. So, do you want to hear a funny story? This has nothing to do with this. Well, it does have something to do with the title a little bit, but I just thought it was funny. The Pope died and went to heaven. He was met by St. Peter at the pearly gate. You were such a good Pope, St. Peter said, smiling. Tell me what would make you happiest, and I will see that you get it. The Pope was thrilled. I'd like to read the original words of Jesus, his instructions to people for living a godly life. Who knows how they might have changed through the years? You're in luck, St. Peter said. We have a library here containing the original words of all holy people from every religion. The Pope settled in to read. A few hours later, St. Peter heard terrible moans and wails coming from the library. The Pope staggered out, bereft. Holding his head in his hands, he blurted out to St. Peter, I can't believe it. The word wasn't celibate, it was celebrate. So, celebrate. It is, and thank you for sharing a bit of laughter, because that's so important as a part of celebrating. And Ernest Holmes, who can say it better? Who, of all of the writers I have ever read, I'm going to depart a little bit before I share Dr. Ernest's words with you, but about infinite possibility. I spent my childhood, most of my teenage years, the majority of my adult life, as much time as I could with my nose in a book, usually fiction. I loved to read. And I always thought, especially when I was a child, that being able to stay home and read all day would be heaven for me. Well, guess what? In retirement, I get to do a lot of that. And you know what? Yes, I enjoy it. I read lots of fiction. I read lots of good books as well. But it is not, it doesn't create a life to celebrate, and it doesn't create an awful lot of encouragement to go out and do. So I'm putting aside my dream of childhood that I would have thought only as a far out of reach possibility that once it was attained has kind of lost its luster. So it's time for me to replace that old idea of infinite possibility that did come into being and replace it with something greater. And that any one of us can do. Take what we thought were our dreams of what the perfect life would look like. Take a look at what we have attained, even if it looks like what we thought a perfect life looked like, and saying, this is all right, and I'm glad I get to do this, but there might be a greater possibility out there in the world of infinite possibilities, infinite potentiality. So scrape off the rust and take a fresh look. What does your infinite possibility look like? Would you like to have a switch you could turn on to have that revealed to you? What your infinite possibility could be? Well, guess what? You can. And you don't even have to reach over to the top of the little bookcase to get a remote control, because the control is right in your own mind. You can call it Google your own mind and spirit and say, what does the infinite, what is the infinite highest and greatest idea for me, for my life, for my joy, for my happiness, for my celebration of life? Show me. And we get to sit in contemplation, if you wish, or meditation, and wait for a response. So what does your infinite possibility look like? And don't tell yourself that you're already there, because you can't be. You're still with us on the physical plane. If you had attained your greatest and highest infinite possibility, you would have departed into your next plane of existence. So it doesn't matter if you think you have a satisfied mind, or I'm talking to myself now, because you get to sit and read books all day. That is not my infinite possibility. And now let's take a look at the words of Ernest Holmes. There is, as the Platonists taught, a prototype of perfection at the center of every form. Healing is not creating a perfect idea or a perfect body. It is revealing an idea that is already perfect. Revealing the idea that is already perfect. Revealing the infinite possibility that lies open to us. I'm not going to stretch this much further. We have celebrated Gord and Lou and the joy and the promise of help with whatever healing we feel we might need. I call on them regularly to help me. Call on them, let them practice with you. And after we heard what happened with Lou, that she actually visited her relative who lives somewhere in BC, right? Oh, right, yes. But anyway, that person felt and saw Lou in her room as she was drifting off to sleep that night, at the same time that Lou had been doing treatment for her. So these things are real. The potential of spiritual mind treatment is a real thing. It's not just an airy-fairy idea. Ernest Holmes. There is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. And it is a matter, Janice here did the same studies to become a practitioner. And you know it works. She has healed and helped many, many people. Doesn't matter whether you're doing it in the center or just as a matter of your daily life. Knowing that there is a power for good in the universe, and it is a real power, and knowing that truly you can use it, is what our center is all about. Is that something to celebrate? Let's celebrate the joy of becoming more of what we are designed to be. Doesn't matter whether we're 95 or 35. We are still becoming. I celebrate each one of us becoming that greater potentiality, unfolding that infinite possibility that is ours. And I would like to share an affirmation with you. I am willing to celebrate myself and my infinite potentiality. Repeat with me. I am willing to celebrate myself and my infinite potentiality. The next line, I see possibilities and think them into form as health, joy, and prosperity, because God is and I am. And I'll give you that in pieces. I see possibilities and think them into form. And think them into form as health, joy, and prosperity, because God is and I am. And so it is. Thank you. Now we'll go on to our closing. And we'll read our prosperity affirmation together on your purple sheet again. I give and I receive, and I do so with gratitude. All that I am is a gift of spirit. All that I do is my gift back to life, maintaining that perfect circulation that is God in action. I choose to bless myself and my world by sharing generously, and so it is. And you can share generously either in your thoughts or with your checkbook, or however you choose to help our Center for Spiritual Living. Those of you who are here can drop your envelope in the basket up front. And if you're at home, there are various ways you can contact us by phone, by email, whatever, to find out how you may make a donation. Thank you for that. And our closing affirmation, I step into the events of this day with enthusiasm, vitality, and a calm expectation of good. As I expect good in every situation, that is what I receive. It is done unto me as I believe, and so it is. Now just a minute for a closing treatment. I relax and I celebrate, because relaxation is at the center of my being, where God lives and has its being, not only in me, but in every being, in every blade of grass, in every puppy, in every kitten, in every creature great and small. I give loving thanks, knowing that the power that I call God is mine to use to the best of my ability to unfold that higher and greater infinite possibility that I am. And so it is.